tired.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the show.
We're here. We got a buffalo and we got a buddy.
Yeah.
Except it's not a buffalo.
We got a educational seminar this morning about bison and buffalo.
So our teacher today is Andy Chandler.
Welcome to the show, Andy.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we have a buffalo. I mean, a bison.
Well, speaking of
I'm
buffalo,
sorry.
let's just go ahead. Let's get that bottle open.
Oh, yeah. Open the bottle.
And get,
Quick.
Go ahead, Mono.
I'm going to let Chase do it.
All right,
I'm going to let you all pick this up yesterday, so I think it should be one of you guys to open it.
Well, it's got a...
very
Right.
considerate.
Is that a buffalo or a
what a
bison,
dude.
Andy? It
That
says
is a
buffalo
bison.
trace.
I know, but that's a bison.
Is that-
That's
is
a
that-
it's called. It should
Is
be
that a
bison
buffalo?
trace, right?
Is that a buffalo or a bison? Can you tell?
That is still a bison.
Oh, okay.
Okay, whatever.
We got Buffalo Trace here with us.
I was thinking about that on the way up here. I almost asked it, what's the difference between them? Because we were driving by.
Well, they have
Yeah.
different horns. A buffalo's horns will be more curved and out, and the bison has the giant hump on the back shoulder, and they have more of a beard and hair on them, where buffalo is more just short hair.
Okay. So that story you told about the hump and plowing, wrong word, correct story.
I'm an idiot. Don't listen.
Don't listen to them. Well, this is your podcast, man.
Well, I don't listen to everything. I mean,
Hey, the story about the buffalo is correct. It was just a bison.
the one
It is commonly called American buffalo. Everyone accepts that. But
Okay, that's exactly what you called it anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm fine with
we're
it.
good.
All right.
That one's the least. So I'm taking that one.
Pass some Buffalo Trace around this morning.
bet you won't.
Hey, would you pass that down?
So Cole's wife did some artwork for us on that one over there.
And she did a good job.
Where'd
I've
you get it
never
from?
seen artwork she did that wasn't really nice, though. She does very nice artwork.
Very
I'll let
good.
her know. She probably knows now that she heard you say that.
Does she even listen to the podcast?
She's working her way through them.
that's a no.
She's listening. She's listening to the last one we just posted right now.
Thank you for all 3 viewers. We really appreciate y'all. Andy, my friend.
Yes.
Andy Chandler. Oh, we doing this?
Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah, we did it.
Well, I haven't done it yet.
Salute.
Cheers. Salute.
I was fidgeting. I didn't see if y'all did it or not.
That's all right. Pretty good.
It's
That is good.
Andy,
That's pretty smooth.
the man, the myth, the legend. Let's dive into Andy.
Let's say how we know Andy. I've only met him at the brew house.
But-
Did either of y'all know him before?
No.
Okay.
No, brew house.
Most of my good friends
As
now-
as it tends to be.
yeah,
hmm
most of my really good friends in my life now that came from the brew house actually. So
Right on.
Yeah.
that's how I met Andy, and I'm sure that's how you met Andy.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Like, God, probably the first few weeks the brew house was open.
Probably, yeah.
I would say that's when we saw each other.
Definitely, you're an OG.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I came to the brew house was to film a commercial or take picture. I guess it wasn't a video commercial, but it was for the tourism advertisement, I guess the brew house did. So,
Really,
yep, that was my first time there.
I have to look back on that.
Interesting.
I didn't
How-
know that.
First time I was there, it was to get drunk.
Well,
Well, did you succeed?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, you've been there since before. We had a kitchen, or oh man, it's a different world back then. We ordered pizzas and stuff
definitely.
In the dark days.
in the dark days.
Well, that's kind of how the reason I found out about it was because a friend of mine was wiring the wire or the lights.
Mhm.
That's how I ended up.
Yeah.
He texts me the beer menu, and I was like, "Where you at?" And he told me, I was like, "I'll be there in like 30 minutes, man. I'm leaving work."
Yeah. I remember. What are you drinking today, Andy?
Today I'm drinking a Dew Claw Sweet Baby Jesus.
And if I remember right, you do like porters and stouts.
You know, I like all beer. I'm a beer lover, but I will say that I tend to gravitate towards the darker stuff if I have a choice.
Right.
I mean, or if it's just on tap at the brew house and you're drinking the wall.
Yeah, that's right. If you drink the wall there, you got to go through some of it.
I mean, I've seen you.
I've tried it.
Oh, what,
I
do you
think
get
it's
about halfway?
doable. Do you still think it's doable?
I think it's doable as long as you drive me
You're doing
home.
pints?
I-
Full pours, though? Or are you talking about the 5?
Full
No.
pours.
Full
He's
pours.
talking about full pours.
This is a man show. All
I
right,
know.
full pours.
This guy could not do it. This guy cannot do it.
Listen, it really depends on the time of the year and what beers
That's
on the
22
wall.
beers.
You know, if you got 4 session beers,
I'm putting the 120 on when that happens. Oh,
if you got 4 or 5, 9 or 10%, you're not probably going to make it. But you made I'd say a good showing.
a respectable show.
Yeah.
Performance.
Sounds like I need to try it again, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made it. I think you made it.
Do it while the new one's on. It's a light one. It'll be an easy one.
Have you ever done a zombie there?
Yes.
I have.
Yeah. I didn't mind it.
What's that?
I did one at
You
Grand
just
Rivers.
pour them together.
Pour them all together and go for it?
Yeah.
Did it when
And
we
it's
had, like,
actually much
5.
better.
At Grand Rivers, we had like 5 or 6 beers. I tasted it then. We were testing them all out.
Old
Yeah.
zombie.
Yeah, it's actually better than you would suspect it would be.
Yeah, it's beer.
Yeah.
The beers are all good. Why wouldn't them
Yeah.
be decent together?
I was expecting it to be just horrid though. And then it's not.
No. It's
Nothing,
doable.
nothing like an El Chavo and a coffee stout.
El Chavo. Jalapeno coffee stout. Yeah, that goes good.
Your gut's like, fuck. Andy, where are you from, my friend?
Well, I was born in Michigan, and I moved down here to Kentucky in the 4th grade.
Mhm.
And I've, grew up down here in Kentucky. So,
Marshall County graduate.
Marshall County graduate in '99. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And then you went off to the Navy. Is that correct?
I did. Yep. 2003, I finally got to ship off for boot camp and spent 6 years in the Navy.
Where is Navy boot camp? Is that in the Great Lakes?
Yep, Great Lakes, just north of Chicago up there. It's their one and only boot camp.
One and only. I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
They've had others in the past, but they closed it all down and consolidated to just one.
That has to be large then.
It is a very large base, and they make you march all the way across it.
Yeah. How was Navy boot camp training?
I'd say of the services, it was probably one of the easier ones. I didn't think it was too difficult. Just listen to the drill instructors, do what they say, and carry on.
Play the game.
Play the game. It's a big old game.
Were you there in the winter?
I was there from February to April, and it was very cold, lots of snow.
Seems like you say Great Lakes in the winter. Seems like I just get cold thinking about it.
Yeah, they that kind of saved us. They took it easy on us for the long distance marching across base since there was snow and ice everywhere. So we didn't exactly have to march in tune and everything. So that was
Right.
good.
Good experience.
I say I probably didn't learn a whole lot in boot camp. Your best advice I always give people is just be quiet.
Yeah.
If you open your mouth, you're going to bring attention to yourself. So
Yeah.
it's 2 months, 2.5 months, whatever. Just go through it.
Yeah. Get in, get out.
Get in, play the game, get out.
And then that's the amazing thing about you. Then what happened?
Well, then it gets complicated. I went into the Navy's nuclear power program, and I went to Charleston, South Carolina for their nuclear power school. And I did a 1.5 years of training down there, learning all about. I was an electronics technician by trade, and so I had to go through some electronics school. And then we went through the nuclear power, their sort of makeshift engineering school, and did that for a 1.5 years down there in Charleston. And then I went to a submarine up in New England, and I was there for about 4.5 years.
On the same sub.
On the same sub, yep.
I've always thought submariners were a different breed. I mean, if you look at all the stuff that
It wasn't 4 years straight, right? Like you came home.
Yeah, you get assigned to the ship. Like when I first got assigned to it, my ship was actually, my boat, I should say, was actually stationed in Maine at a shipyard. So it wasn't even in the ocean, it was dry docked at the time. So I went there for a few months, and then we put it back to sea and moved back down to Connecticut where the base is at.
Mhm.
Good old Groton, Connecticut, submarine capital of the world. And then I was there for about 4 years. We'd go out to sea, come back. I had an apartment there. So
do they being on a submarine, we've all seen movies. We've all read a little bit about submarines. It's pretty crazy concept, and like you can't just throw any jackwagon in a submarine because it has to be some kind of psychological. Do they like vet you because you're going underwater? And you might be underwater for a while. You know, you're in a tube with I don't know.
Bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, do they
140 of us,
do they 140?
give or take. Yeah, depending on what we're doing.
Do they like do a psych eval and stuff like that, or you can't just let anybody on a submarine because they might just flip out one day. You know,
I think they do let about anybody on there.
That's what I was expecting right there.
No, I don't remember going through any vetting whatsoever. Some people do have to go through the submarine school there in Connecticut before they report to the submarine, but people always ask that same question, and I never saw anyone freak out or get claustrophobic. I think you think it'd be scary because right now you have a choice, but when
Right.
you're stationed on it and they shut that hatch, there's no choice. You're there,
right?
and you've got a job to do, and you work long hours. They keep you working.
Mhm.
When you're not working, you're sleeping. There's not a whole lot of recreational time.
Yeah.
So I don't think you get time to think about those things a whole lot. It's do your job and continue to do your job, and if you're not, go to sleep.
Yeah. Can you give a date, like a schedule of the day on a submarine?
Oh,
Just like a normal day, not anything crazy. Like
Yeah.
Mission, just if you're out at sea.
Not Red October.
not Red October. Yes, I guess if you were out at sea, we'd actually tend to work. We lived an 18-hour day.
Mhm.
There's no sunlight. There's no sense of time whatsoever. We had 3 shifts, 6 hours apiece.
Mm-hmm.
So for most of the time, you do 6 hours of watch standing, whatever job you're qualified, you sit that for 6 hours. And then 6 hours of maintenance or some kind of training. We continuously trained all the time. And then hopefully 6 hours of sleep if everything went well.
That's an odd schedule.
So,
6 hours of sleep.
I'd say on an average basis, you got less than that. There was always something
Well,
going on. There was
yeah.
all hands training. They'd wake everyone up for things. We were real big on cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
We called it field day. We always had a field day.
Same thing in the Marines. Field day cleaning.
It's, part of it's keeping you busy. Part of it, everything that's dirty is a fire hazard.
Right.
You don't want a fire down there. We only have so much oxygen, and a fire will just take that oxygen right out.
I guess that's the biggest fear on a sub, right? Is fire.
Fire and flooding. Yep.
Yeah, I could say flooding would be one.
You're trying. The ocean is trying to get in at all times. It's when you think about it, the ocean is trying to kill you in that submarine,
Right.
and it's your job to not let it. So, when it comes to wartime fighting, the other guy doesn't necessarily have to sink you. He just has to hit you, and the ocean's going to take care of the rest.
That's
So
it.
That's
it's a different.
That's a different warfare.
It is. Luckily we don't do a whole lot of that. Submarines are more spy vessels or nuclear deterrents. The big ballistic missile submarines. So
Was it World War II where the submarines really came into
The Untersea boats,
the
the U-boats.
Germany and
yeah, it does go back to World War II. Back then we had submarines, but the Navy did not. The American Navy did not put a whole lot of toll on the American submarines. I didn't think that was the future.
right.
Well, Pearl Harbor happened, and for the Pacific Fleet, the Japanese took out the big battleships, which is what, and I don't think they hit any carriers that day, but really put a hurt on the surface fleet. And they left the submarines alone because I don't think the Japanese thought much of the submarine force at the time either. And so there for a while, till we rebuilt our surface fleet back up, the submarines had to kind of hold the line
Right.
after Pearl Harbor, and we took a lot of pride in that as submariners. So,
That
Absolutely.
makes sense.
and then during World War II, we weren't just fighting warships. Germans did it to us. We did it to the Japanese. We took out their merchant vessels carrying supplies.
Yes.
Moving oil and stuff, and that was one of the submarines' big jobs was taking out the merchant ships to make sure they didn't have the supplies to fight the war.
And
Right.
that's how you win wars anyway.
It is, you
Take
take
out
out
their
their supply
supplies.
line and let them suffer.
I mean, Civil War
Siege.
was
Siege, you're
the-
laying siege to them. Yep.
I guess it's the same art of war, but
Mhm.
that damn ocean's so damn big.
It is, you got to find them and you got to hide them, and
You
you got to remain fueled and armored up and
Right.
everything else. So
I got a question.
Yeah.
How many times was there a big old blip on the radar and it's like, is that the Leviathan? Is that Cthulhu?
I did not get to see that part of the submarine
Yeah.
much. So I stayed back in the engine room. I maintained the reactor. That was my baby. So,
Mhm.
I kept the propulsion going and kept the lights on. That was my job.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though.
It's so
Because that is
fascinating.
you having to have fuel. That's how you get around.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the nuclear subs. The one I was on was started construction in 1982 and put it to sea and commissioned it in 1985. And it just came out of service last year and it has never refueled.
Isn't that crazy?
And
That is wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's like the backup fuel source? Is it?
Well, we had a diesel generator on there and batteries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'd last for a while. So
Are you exposed to much radiation by being on a submarine in that particular location?
you are exposed to radiation, and we had little monitors.
Mhm.
We monitored that and made sure our
It wasn't
know,
too high.
made sure it wasn't too high. You got measured every so often. They read them, and if it got too high, they'd take precautions for you.
It's
Yeah,
rather
kind of
than-
like in a vet clinic where you always have a monitor on your
Yep.
uniform.
For the X-rays and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. I've toured a couple older submarines.
Yeah.
One in San Diego, there's one in San Diego when I was there, and I think it was a German or I don't know, in Mobile.
Yep. There's we've got some old World War II subs. I know there's one in California. There's one down in Alabama. Last thing I knew, the Clamagore was in Charleston, South Carolina. Recommend visiting them. They're pretty cool. People always ask, how does that compare to what we have now? I say the living space, I like to say, is about the same. Our submarines now are much larger, but they also have more machinery and equipment in them that fills up that space.
Okay.
I think those old World War II subs had maybe 40 to 60 men on them. So, but
I can imagine that it's probably like a infantry unit in the field that's kind of out by itself and doing its own thing. You're kind of your own thing on a sub. It's probably not like conventional living because I guess it's called the captain still,
still the captain. Yep.
and 140 people, and you're there. Is it kind of relaxed? Is it?
You maintain a certain level of professionalism, but I'd say it is more relaxed. There's not eyes, on a normal military base. You got flag officers visiting and stuff. You want to keep it up, but once you shut those hatches, it's a little bit more relaxed. We'd grow facial hair
Right.
until we pulled back in and things like that. So,
Yeah.
we knew our captain. I'd say a lot of units probably don't actually know their commanding officer that well.
Right.
He was there with us, living the same life. So I think that's what actually made me choose submarines. I volunteered for that in boot camp before I knew anything. I think the smaller amount of people, it just sounded more appealing to me.
Yeah.
That's
The submarine is
sense.
the pub of the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did you
Totally
ever
makes sense.
pull into any port and just drink a bar dry like they talk about?
yeah, we did that. I always, when we pull in, I think because you're locked away for so long, you just go out there and let loose. And
That's the way I feel every day.
Them
Yeah.
them dirty sailors going port to port.
you just find the closest place serving beer and you drink till it's gone, So
Right.
Like Brandy, the song.
Yeah.
So they didn't have beer on the sub.
no alcohol on the sub. People like to talk about the food on the sub.
Yeah.
We're talking about that, like
I was actually going to ask about that just a few minutes ago. So I'm glad you brought it up.
there wasn't a whole lot of fresh food. Fresh food only stays fresh for a couple days. Anytime we pulled into port, that was always a treat because we're like, all right, we're going to get some fresh vegetables and eggs and real milk and stuff for a couple days. And once you're past that, it's canned food and frozen food and
The sea rats or
Okay.
stuff like that.
no, I mean we had real food.
Real
So
food.
one thing we always had was fresh bread because we had just tons of flour and water, so we could always make fresh bread.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything was canned and
Right.
stuff. So
Mm.
Is there an equivalent to like an airlock for like waste? And then do you like bring in and filter seawater? Or is it just like a it's all maintained but filtered.
We made fresh water from seawater.
Yeah.
If that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Just basically just distilled seawater,
And then you can dump
the
wastewater.
brine part back out to sea
Yeah.
and, make the fresh water out of it and filter it. So
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
What's the longest you've been under and not come up?
I'd say I've gone for
20 minutes.
Okay.
Easy.
That's
Oh,
right.
sorry.
I can hold my breath for like 3 minutes. So, now, do you have any stories like that you can tell or want to tell? About your tour.
yeah, there's a lot of stories, but I think
The coolest story.
the longest time I think I went without seeing the sun was maybe 3 months. So it was a pretty good time.
Whew.
Pretty good time there, and sometimes you don't get a whole lot of time to see the sun either. Even when they do pull in, they like to keep us at sea. A lot of times you're just pulling in, get spare parts, fix whatever's there, and do whatever maintenance you need to do, and then back out to
So
sea.
every time you pull into port, you're not getting liberty.
Yeah, that is a very true statement. When you pull into port, it's normally to fix something.
Right.
And there's maintenance we have to do on that reactor when it's down, and that's your time to do it. So do your preventive maintenance, keep it in good health, and back out to sea you go.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of keeping everyone living on that thing. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not just propulsion; it's everything.
Yeah, it's propulsion and keeping the electric lights on. So
Yeah.
it's the lifeblood. So
Well, and
And
it's helping filter the water. It's doing everything.
it's doing everything, and we had very specific requirements, and they had to be met. Period. End of story. So
Crazy life.
Well, I mean, I think of it as if you were working on that reactor, that's a crazy responsibility in the sense of 140 people that you want to make sure you're keeping alive in the sense of doing your job.
yeah, and you have to remember a lot of these people doing that are only 21 years old.
Yeah.
At most. A lot of times, I was a little older when I went in, but most of them are just young kids with that responsibility.
And that's the way with most of the military.
Military, it's young kids doing it.
17 to 23, 24.
Yeah.
The backbone of the military, making a lot of decisions and leading.
Now we say young kids, but in all reality, our American Revolution and a lot of those type of things were also fought by 17-year-olds and that sort of thing. So
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
it's well, you definitely have that structure, the chain of command. You got wisdom above you, but
Yeah.
the E5s and the E6s and the E4s, they make a lot of decisions,
Yeah. And you think about those higher guys, and at the time you thought they were old,
and they're not.
but they're not. They're younger than we are now, Chase.
I look back when I was in, and I guess my master gunnery sergeant, he was probably my age now, and I was like, man, that dude, how can he still run us 15, 20 miles a day? He's old. And and you look back and it's like, they didn't really, some of them looked old for sure. But you look back and you're like, it felt like they were like 50, but they weren't. They were probably like 30s.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's a weird thing. And then,
Well, I look old.
Are you saying you're not old? You just look old? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Calico.
Our Calico brethren.
Yeah, I'm not as old as I look.
So much salt. So much salt with that paprika.
So, yeah. Trying to think of submarine. I'm just intrigued.
So you stay down for long periods of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, Monty's the only one that got what I was saying.
Yes, I got it. I was the one trying to.
Oh, this eating me and Monty up. We wanted to laugh.
I was sorry that I was laughing over you while you were talking about something
I was
serious.
trying to hold it down.
Chase had me cracking up about this, so couldn't help it.
It's rough around here, Andy.
I see
Trying
that.
to have a serious conversation.
One more for the pod.
Oh
On the
yeah,
Buffalo.
I'll help out here.
Days early. Got to get started. Can't drink all day if you don't start early.
That's
That's
right.
it.
Did
That's
you?
my wisdom for you, sir.
Didn't you say that? I don't know if we can edit this out if you can't talk about it, but didn't you go under the Antarctic one time?
Yeah, Can
you talk about?
We're
that?
talking about it.
I can talk about things like that. So,
Did the Earth go in on itself and it's hollow?
like I said, I was stationed in Connecticut, so we were an East Coast boat, and so you'd think would do most of our deployments around Europe or something,
Mm-hmm.
Well, both of my actual deployments, we went to the Pacific, So there's only a couple of ways to get there. You can go all the way around the Earth or underneath the North Pole. So, all right, let's take a shot here. You want to do this?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, to the sub, what do y'all call your submariners or
Submariners?
Just wieners.
Yep. Just wieners.
Hey, to your brothers.
My brothers.
It is good stuff.
It's
My
good.
God.
What? You don't like it?
Smooth.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it
for the
is.
price you pay for Buffalo Trace, that's some good stuff.
It is.
Really is.
We usually drink basil, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, that bison traces.
That bison trace.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got a little more flavor to it than the basil, and I don't know,
I like it.
but it's good.
I do like it. Yeah.
It's good.
All right, yeah. So getting back to North Pole, on our one deployment, we went up underneath the North Pole, and that was right around the 50th anniversary of the first American submarine to actually surface at the North Pole, which was the USS Nautilus. So we had to make a showing of that, and I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to say this stuff, but my submarine was not meant to surface through the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've seen pictures of submarines, we had fairwater planes coming off our sail. That's the big wing looking things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, when you're breaking through the ice, all that pressure is going to be on those.
Right.
And that's what we use to control our depth. They're like wings on an airplane, you know?
Yeah.
So we risked breaking those off by smashing into the ice. So we had to use some fancy technology, making sure that we were breaking through a very thin spot in the ice. You know, we circled around before we found a good spot. And we surfaced and we went out there, walked around on the ice. It was summertime for the Northern Hemisphere, and it was actually very warm. Like I didn't even wear a jacket.
Really?
Walking around on the ice, no jacket on. We had a
That's
guy
awesome.
dressed up like Santa Claus and
Wow.
stuff, and took some publicity photos and made some magazines. Like I said, 50th anniversary of the first U.S. sub doing that. So,
That's pretty cool.
Little playgirl at the North Pole.
yep. And then,
Just kidding.
so we submerged again and went on our way, went through the Great Barren Strait and over to the Pacific and finished that deployment out and came back to the Panama Canal. But,
That's
That is awesome. That's
Oh,
wild.
that's the experiences that most people. I don't know how many submarines are in the world, but most people don't get those kind of experiences.
no, it was pretty neat seeing the North Pole. People like to hear that story.
Yeah.
But
So how long? Like, I don't know how much you can go into how fast they're capable of going, but I mean, through that deployment, how long would it take to get to places like that?
Well, don't tell Russia or China any secrets.
Yeah.
no,
definitely not.
I don't think I'm going to say anything that you can't just Google and figure out for
Right.
yourself. But I remember it taking, 3 weeks maybe to get from Connecticut underneath the ice over to the Pacific, and my job, I didn't
That's
really
pretty
know when
quick.
we were where we needed to be. To me, we were just punching holes in the ocean as far as I was concerned.
Right.
I think we're at wherever they tell me we're at. That's
Right.
That's all I know. So, but yeah, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks. To
Wow.
get over there.
And you're
I'm
just
thinking.
like,
For reference, do you happen to know roughly how long it took like Columbus to come over from Europe?
No, I
'Cause
actually
I don't
no
have
idea.
any frame of reference for
I
sea
don't.
travel.
No, I think we can make it to Europe in under 2 weeks if we're pushing it
Okay.
easy, and if we're really pushing it, less than that. So
well, that's pretty quick.
it goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than walking, paddling.
So you,
I
you
mean,
were
we almost brought Greenland.
you were kind of like
We should have bought
We
Greenland.
could have just put a highway there.
you're kind of like Scott. You were kind of like Scotty, wasn't you, on Star Trek?
Yeah, back there in the engine room, keeping
Yeah.
the engine
You were like, he's
stuff
like,
going. Yeah,
beam me up, Scotty.
Yep.
And you were Scotty,
something like that.
even though there really was never a beam me up, Scotty, right?
That is what my understanding. Yes, I don't know why we always say that. but
Yeah, because he was in the engine room.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Was Scotty never the one to beam him up?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
But,
I don't
I
think
could
so
be
either.
wrong. I'm not a big Star
Maybe
Trek
it
To all
fan.
the Trekkies out there listening.
Yeah, where's the
Yeah.
Trekkies?
Feel free to comment.
We're not
and
Trekkies
subscribe.
by any means. So, but I remember my dad watching that show back in the day, and
Yeah, he worked in the engine room, not that technology stuff.
not my dad, but yeah, Scotty.
Well, if anybody knows the answer to this, I don't know much about Star Trek.
I don't either. I've had family that watched Star Trek, but I don't know a thing about it.
Somebody could comment on this on like once we upload it to YouTube, maybe let us know. the
I'm
answer.
sure the Trekkies that were watching at the beginning of this are still watching.
Or still,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was yeah,
Well,
I would say so.
thank you for your service because I think that is a that is one of the toughest jobs in the military, I think, mentally. And
You would think so.
it ain't nothing.
He puts it out there like it's
impressive.
nothing.
I mean, that is impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about it. I always felt bad for the people out there, in the desert, in the mountains of Afghanistan fighting, worried about getting shot at and stuff.
Yeah,
I felt relatively safe.
But when you're out in the desert, you got all this sky. You got, you just.
Isn't it funny though? He's like, I felt
Perspective,
relatively
for sure.
safe, and he's underneath the ocean in a tube.
Yeah.
Chase was in the desert saying, "Man, I'm glad I'm not in a tube underneath the North Pole right now."
With a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, I'm just out here with these crazy turds.
Well, I mean, that's the military. You're always with a bunch of dudes for the most part.
Yeah, but Andy could tell you that, man, that's a lifelong friendship. I mean, there's something about it.
Yeah, it is. So my submarine decommissioned last year and is getting scrapped. It's at the end of life. So they had like a little ceremony up there in Connecticut for it before it went to the shipyard. And I went up there for that kind of reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Got to see some of the old guys I served with. I haven't seen them. I think I've only seen one guy since I've gotten out. I've talked to a lot of them, but I haven't actually visited them, you know. So got to see several of them then. And it was, it's like you never left. You know what I'm saying?
It's like yesterday.
Yeah, you were closer than family because your family right now, they go to work, they do their own thing. These guys, you live with them, you work with them, you're side by side for years. There's no bond that you can make more than that. It's insane.
No, it's insane.
And sometimes you hate each other, and sometimes you love each other. That's
what I always say. When I got some friends that I guess the closest ones are in Tennessee or in Chicago, and I saw some of my friends in Chicago not long ago, and it was just like it's like yesterday. I mean, you get back together, and we have actually a reunion coming up for my unit.
Really?
In February, and it's either in Vegas or somewhere out west, and I might go, I might not, but because I know how it is when we get together.
It's at Casey's.
Vegas is awesome.
Vegas could be dangerous.
I love Vegas.
Listen, I know how it is when we all get together.
Are you a rambling, gambling man?
That I get out of control. You got to keep a cap on me, and I'm not sure if I know how I get.
Rambling.
Yeah, it's just, with a bunch of Marines, it can get pretty wild pretty quick.
Yeah, crayons everywhere, things like that.
We love eating crayons. Green and red are my favorite.
That's your favorite colors? Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah, I mean, the crayons. I like Crayola. I'll eat the cheap ones if I have to.
Really?
I mean,
what? I don't even know another crayon brand. Do you all? I mean, they really rule the roost, right?
Yeah,
Crayola, and then they got the ones Kmart used to have. Is one that wouldn't.
So which ones taste better?
Crayola's the best. Crayola's for sure. For sure.
Can't beat McDonald's, dude.
Everybody makes fun of them. There's nothing you can make fun of the Navy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
nothing.
So we were talking about. You were talking about the reunion, about the decommissioning, and then we shat on Chase a little bit, and that's where we at now.
Yep, he wiped it off during the break, and we're back. Little baby wipes. I just like to. I want to give a shout out during our little break. I have got a new beer here. I've got something from Hopkinsville Brewing Company, Baking a Difference. A nice little stout here. Got a lot of good flavors to it.
It does.
Monty, you brought that to me. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
I
just knew you liked stouts, man.
Who's the owners?
You'd know that better than me. I've met the female.
Oh,
owner.
Kate and Joey.
Yeah, Kate and Joey. Sorry, I went blank.
Kate and Joey.
Great people.
I can't even taste it. I could tell that it was a brownie stout. I mean, the smell's there, so that there's just enough going on that when I take a drink, I know what I'm drinking.
Brain picks it up. Yeah.
They got a cool place there.
They do.
And
they've been expanding.
They expanded right before COVID hit, and it's a pretty cool place.
Do you know when I bought that? I bought that on the way back from that trip we talked about on one of the other podcasts.
It was right before a fire one night.
So it's back like August.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Because, I don't know. We came back. It was from the Eastern Kentucky trip where Cumberland Gap.
Oh, yeah.
Cumberland Falls and all that. That's when we bought that beer. So it's been in the refrigerator for a bit. But Kim likes it as well. So
solid.
It's good.
My wife can, by the way.
I also tasted it back then when I had taste, and it can confirm it was good then too.
Yeah, it is good.
How is the taste situation?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I don't have taste, but because my smell's there when I eat or drink something, I think I'm tasting it. But like before, when the smell wasn't there, when I would eat or drink something, it would have like sensation. So I could tell apart, like I could tell bourbon from hot sauce, from water, from English breakfast, and
so it was. So does it make you be able to stay down longer?
Lord, Andy, I told you.
Or is it worse?
Where am I at? What is this?
I wasn't on the submarine. You thought being in the Navy was bad.
There was no English breakfast on the submarine, I'll tell you that.
Mom, I'm sorry. Anyway.
Oh wow!
But I can tell things apart. So if you like
mustard,
like mustard was really
is a
strong.
big one for you.
Mustard was really strong. If you had
like
if
mustard
you brought me
and biscuits.
If you brought me a breakfast, if you brought me a flight at the brew house, I would probably back then still have been able to tell you at least what was what if I knew it, roughly what the options were. Now, like I can pick up on the brownie in that beer, but
I think it's coming back.
I don't taste it, but
so.
I feel like I'm smelling it. I feel like it's that back of the tongue olfactory thing. But it, in a way, it's coming back. Like if I just put something and kind of just hold it in my mouth and swish, fuck y'all.
What do you do with that, Andy? What do you do with that?
I got a lot of ways I can go with that, but I'm going to leave it alone.
I bet it is long.
I'll leave it alone.
But
oh Lord,
I can't like I'm not tasting it. It's weird. It's just weird. Anyway, let's move.
It's hard to
move right along.
He had COVID and he lost his taste and smell, and he's a brewer. It's hard to brew beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta have it.
Yeah, we got that new beer and it's on now.
If I lost my taste and smell, no big deal.
Yeah. I've just been asking like last night we were over there and I have not been off work since it got tapped the other day. So it came in last night. It was the first time I was tasting our new Pilsner. And we grabbed that. The old Gray Mare. We used hops that Murray State grew. So that was really cool.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so that was the first time I was tasting it. But really, it's Pilsner. So it's already light. It's not just punching me in the face like something like that would. And
right.
So there's some people there. I was asking everybody in the room, what do you think? What do you think? Tell me. What do you think? What do you think? I can't taste it. Tell me.
Yeah.
It reminds me of kind of a MGD.
Yeah.
That's exactly
similar.
what I said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah. Miller. Yeah. Miller Genuine. I mean,
it's good.
I'm not saying it's the same, but it's similar in the taste profile.
When you get those subtle flavors, it's hard to distinguish yourself from everybody else. You know what I'm saying? That's why I feel like the IPAs and the stouts and porters lead themselves more to craft brewing, because you can start putting stronger flavors in there and separate yourself from what's already out there. When you go with the lighter beers, it's lighter flavor. It's hard to
so subtle
to separate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
A lot of stuff on those light lagers, especially if you're sticking to like the European, the biggest difference is going to be the water.
The water, okay.
It's so subtle at that point. You can change the hops a little bit, but like I'll say for our lagers, we typically use like German grain and German hops, and it's the same German hops. Basically, look at those countries like little communities. Over in Germany, they brewed this way, and that's just how they did it. So they're kind of using the same stuff. They're kind of using the same hops. They're kind of using the same yeast. There's differences, obviously, but at the end of the day, like the differences are the water in that area and just kind of like how much hops you use.
Yeah.
And when you use it. So there's some definite hop differences between like our beers, and they're all based on styles like Dortmunder, Pilsner, Maybach, and Marzen are the lagers we've done so far. So they're all very similar in their grain. The hops, all very similar. The big difference there is just how much and when during the boil, but huge difference on every one of those is the water. Huge. Yeah. They don't even come close on water profile.
So, and you know a lot about this, and I know that's what you did. I think your master's.
Well, no, it's bachelor's, but as my senior year, I did like my last semester, I did a special projects whole semester, just where me and the professor I already researched with, we figured out a way where I could get some credit just analyzing beer all semester.
And it was the water of the beer per se, correct?
Well, that led to me doing water.
Okay.
We analyzed everything,
Oh.
like anything you can imagine about beer. And we had 6 different beers. One of them happened to be the Undertow from Dry Ground. And so I took the beer results that I turned in for my grade and I went over to Dry Ground. That's a pretty good story too. I won't tell it right now, but that's a good story. But showing them that and whatever, that was how I'll save that story for when Corey's on. That's how I got in the door with them. And I started doing their water profiles.
You bet.
Yeah.
So,
But it's interesting that just how much of a difference chlorides and sulfites make in water and the beer profile in general.
like hazies. Hazies is the best example of water profiles because IPAs require a certain sulfate to chloride ratio. And, it's like above 1. But then with hazies, you want below 1. But that's the ratio you'd want for like a stout. So IPAs and stouts like have opposite water profiles in a sense when it comes to that ratio. But hazies mimic stouts and stuff because you're not bittering the hops. So like you're basically with the hops, you put the hops in during the boil, they have alpha acids. And throughout the boil, the heat does like a conformational transformation where the functional group on the molecule, it just transforms. It's not changing its chemical compound makeup, but it's rearranging itself. So it turns into an isoalpha acid or a beta or alpha isoalpha acid or beta acid, whatever. So by doing like hazies, you will do a lot of dry hopping. Or if you do put it in the kettle, you'll put it at the end. So it doesn't have time to
form that. Yeah.
Okay. And so
interesting.
So that sulfate chloride ratio normally on IPAs is to adjust for the significant amount of iso alpha acids, which is just the way of describing them. But you're not accounting for that with a hazy typically. So you will treat it like a stout on that ratio to bring out the sweetness and the citrus and the brightness, not the bitter
the flavors. Yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. And that's why we bring him on.
Whoa,
because he just spits that shit out like it's nothing.
My man.
Yeah.
He can make it. He can make good beer.
Let's make it. Let's make good beer.
Make good beer.
Man,
and when you make good beer,
it's really good.
He tells me all that, and I'm like, yeah.
I'll drink it.
It's good. I'll sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But that's why Brewhouse makes good beer. That's why Dry Ground makes good beer. Because
you care about.
We can't say that about like Dry Ground. That's an aspect of it. Yeah,
right.
That's all I do at Dry Ground. I don't. But
I know.
I'm saying
they pay attention to water profile.
Their water. What got me specifically doing their water. And again, if Corey comes on, we'll talk about this more. But they wanted some help on the IPAs, so we started there, and it improved it. And so then it kind of from there we were like, okay, Todd. By the time he took it over, he wanted everything adjusted, and that's kind of how it got. But the IPAs was where we started there because the water in Paducah is really good for stouts and malty beers and stuff. It's not. It's just on its own. It's not just the best suited water profile for IPAs. If you just
unless a hazy possibly is it?
Yeah. But by that theory, like you could like if you're a home brewer or if they just weren't adjusting, I would estimate that they wouldn't have a bad hazy if they didn't adjust, so to speak, or a home brewer making something in Paducah. But that's kind of like back to Europe. Like we have different water in Marshall than Paducah has, and so a country over in Europe, which is kind of like almost it's like a West Kentucky versus Louisville. Yeah. Like we have different water than they have. Germany had different water than Belgium.
Right.
That comes big into bourbon too. Like I know some talk about they have they own their own limestone lakes and stuff, and that's where they get their water from. And they say that's what makes ours taste different from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So just because I'm curious now, and I don't know that you may not have the answer for this, but these limestone streams, and like I know I've been to Jack Daniels, and they use typically that type of water profile in the sense of it comes straight out of a limestone type stream. What does that do for the sulfate chloride ratio? Do you know?
Well, a lot of that is going to have some higher calcium as far as the sulfate chloride. Hard to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious.
Yeah. It might there might be like an obvious, like, yes, that means this answer. I don't know it, but just in what I know, I don't know if it's the sulfide chloride, but I know that it's going to have high calcium. And on certain beers, like a couple beers, we had phosphoric acid because if you were at this stunning and stimulating presentation at Dry Ground that we had that one time, it was that
I did go to that.
Yeah, Chase was there. We had my research professor, Dr. Johnson. He came and did a presentation for the like ACS American Chemical Society meeting. It was like chemistry.
It was amazing.
Chemistry of beer or whatever. And the darker beers naturally, because they're roasted, they have more acids in them. Something about the kilning process or whatever.
Bro.
So the lighter beers, they kind of need help getting that out because there will be a natural alkaline property they have. So in some of the lighter beers we will add a little bit of acid. So in a situation where you have high calcium, phosphorus will cause calcium to crash out. So if you're making a light colored beer that doesn't have any roasted grains and your water's naturally hard and has calcium in it, that would be a situation where you would add phosphoric acid, and naturally you're going to crash out some of that calcium.
Leave it in the pot.
So you're going to kind of soften your water by accident that way.
So
yeah,
it's not just going down there and throwing stuff and kettles and
no doubt.
You notice how quiet I've been here, Andy?
Yeah, well,
you throw a little
I
bit
drink
of
beer. I like that.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's aliens.
Here we go on aliens again.
Do you believe in aliens?
He saw him under the North Pole.
What do you mean? NASA says they're real now.
Listen, you just had a great, smart conversation that you probably learned a lot.
Yeah.
And
It was a seminar. It wasn't a conversation.
he's a professor, man. He knows his shit. But do you believe in aliens?
That's where Chase goes with it.
I'm gonna say yes. Like, I think it's hard to believe that in this entire galaxy, which is its size, our brains can't fathom. Like I can't fathom that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that there's nothing else living out there. I just can't believe that. There's something else out there. Are we ever going to find it? Is it going to find us? I don't know.
I think it already has.
But and it may already have. But yeah, I think it's pretty silly to think there's nothing else out there that's alive in this entire galaxy.
Do you think they have beer out there?
Yes.
Well,
I hope they bring it to us.
There could be a whole nother galaxy with a whole nother planet with a whole nother coal on it.
So
doing a podcast right now.
Just say Ho 69.
Host. I guarantee it.
Where'd that come from? Bingo.
He's saying Ho.
Here we go. There's a smart
It's
one.
officially afternoon.
He was smart a minute ago.
It's officially 2 minutes afternoon.
There's a lot that goes into making beer that most people don't know.
Absolutely.
And that dude right there can make good beer.
You ain't kidding.
Absolutely. That's what separates people.
Thank you.
So
Good beer.
you got to care about the little stuff, and that makes a difference.
We got you here, and having talked to Chase recently, he told me the story. So to switch it up a little bit, I would like to ask, I've heard the Chase perspective, and we will get it with yours, but while you're here, so Chase did that big long hike, and I'm going to hand it over to Chase. Now that we got Andy here, let's talk. Let's hear about that.
Oh yeah.
Give us context on the hike itself, for whoever doesn't know.
Talked about it a little bit in the last podcast, but started, at sunset one night on the north end of LVL at the North Welcome Station and walked all night. And the plan was to go 120 miles. I was going to walk all night by myself, and I did. And the next morning when I got to Golden Pond, they're at 68, and the trace, Andy, was going to be my first leg of somebody to kind of walk with me, because no sleep, and my mind was probably going to start slipping about that point. And Andy was the first leg of the next 15 miles after that rest point at Golden Pond. And really, when I got to Andy, I remember a lot now, but it's still kind of fuzzy because the condition my body was in, it kind of deteriorated. My mind at that point that morning, Andy, I was still okay, but it was starting to slip a little bit. Like, I think mentally, I was starting to slip, and I got there, took a big break, and then Andy was there, and he was going to hike that next 10. We thought it was about 12 miles, turned out to be about 15, or I don't know. I mean, at that point, my mind was, I just knew I one step in front of the other, pretty much. And Andy was pretty much my brain and the willpower to, I don't know.
I mean, he told the story, and by the way he told it, you kept him going.
Well, I'm not sure I've ever really talked about this
We
have
never
with anyone. So this is going to be completely new, my take on it, for good or bad. But me leading up to this point, let me give just a little bit of foreground to this. Like, I'm no physical specimen of man, but I've done some hiking out there at LBL.
You have.
And I've hiked the Canal Loop, which is like 10, 11 miles several times.
Yeah, about 11, Monty said.
I like to carry.
Yeah, sorry for correcting you last time, but it is correct at 11.
Okay, 11 miles.
I always said 10 because I like to downgrade a little bit. But I've hiked that a couple times. I like to do it with a weighted backpack, kind of rucksacking, if you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah.
But so I felt comfortable with, I never done more than that. And I think we, like you said, 12, 13 miles. I was like, all right, so it's going to be the longest that I've ever done. So I was honestly kind of preparing myself for the hike. It was going to be further than I've ever gone. And I feel like I let Chase down by not preparing myself on how to motivate and take care of Chase during that time. I thought of myself leading up to that point. So we got there and we met you. And I felt like it was a good day for hiking. It was late summer. It wasn't super hot.
Well, it got that night that I started hiking. I saw my breath that night. It was kind of a cool. It was in June. It wasn't an extremely hot days, but it's probably in the high 80s. And I don't know how cold it got that night, but it might have been just my heat off my body. But I saw my breath. It was a good hiking.
I thought it was good hiking weather, but Chase came in for the break, and we weren't very experienced at his break. None of us had ever done this before, and I felt like we did some things wrong. I think I remember your knees were hurting real bad. I think we iced your knees, which we'd seen people do in the past, but normally that's when you get done. Right. You weren't done. You were nowhere near done. And we iced them. And I think once we got you up and moving again, your knees, for at least the first half mile, like I wasn't sure he was going to be able to continue. Like you could just tell his knees were awful. I think we shrunk up everything in your ligaments and knees and stuff. And we needed to keep them warm.
Well, we iced them.
Yeah.
And icing, I don't know. I haven't done, I probably wouldn't do it again, but
maybe sweat them next time rather than ice them.
I don't.
Keeps the fluid. I know you had fluid buildup, right?
Yeah, I overhydrated or something, but we iced them if we should have iced them, we iced them too long because when I stood up, I had no feeling.
It was bad. Yeah, we need to research that more for next time if you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
But, so we took off and I think once we got you going and got your knees warmed up again, you were looking pretty good. And I didn't, like I said a little bit ago, I didn't really know how to motivate you. I didn't know what to do. I hiked behind you to watch you to make sure you're okay. And it started off good. This is part of the trail I'd never been on before. And eventually we hit the point of the north-south trail where the horses were allowed to ride.
You bet.
And that changed the trail drastically. Like, it wasn't really wet, but the horses I guess they weigh so much more in their hooves. They dug in deep to where it was wet. And the expenditure of energy per footstep, I felt like started getting ridiculous,
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like we were always going up. Like, I felt like we climbed Mount Everest.
We did.
I don't remember going down. It was always just up in this deep mud that the horses had routed out for us. And we were just expending a ton of energy, and it was looking bad. And I was getting tired. I was fresh. I was worried about me making it to the end, and I was tired as crap. And here's this guy. Chase had already done 40 or 50 miles or something at that point, so I had no idea what he was going through. Wasn't really sure how to motivate him. I was just trying to get through it myself.
I remember when we hit those, the bad horse.
Yeah.
The south, after where the Trace and 68 hit.
I remember that first couple miles was great. It was kind of level. And then we dropped off, and then, like you said, we started going vertical. And I remember Andy talking to me. I knew he was trying to just have conversations. And then my brain was like, had a pause in it. I remember just like, it's almost like I didn't want to talk, but I knew I had to. And it would take me a while to respond. I don't know. It was all that's really foggy to me that last 15 miles because of sleep deprivation and the pain in my knee was.
Yeah.
It hurt going down and the other knee hurt going up. And Andy would just try to bring up conversations and which was great.
I was trying to do something, didn't know what to do. Just try to keep you talking about random stuff.
I mean, I don't know what I would have done if he wasn't there because, like I said, my mind was slipping. I was kind of seeing stuff that wasn't there at one point. And
what was it you thought you saw? You said
this was hours and hours later. Of course, we lost cell phone reception, and we had a nurse practitioner and the video guy and some other people waiting at the next stop, and we were running behind. And by that time, I didn't know what time was, and we come up on this hill. It's like I remember, it's like a logging trail, and then you hit the trail again. It was kind of one of those sections where it was kind of level, and the sun was It was up. It was I don't even know what time of day that was now. It was
afternoon.
Yeah. Well, it was, of course, canopy. And then I just remember looking down that logging road and there was something at the end. And I just kept looking at it, walking and like looking at it. And it looked like a little kid or something like bent over, like crunched down, looking at me. And I just kept looking at it like, and I knew that's where I wanted to get to anyways. I just wanted to get there later where you have to fight your mind, not just your body in a hard, in a tough situation. And I kept looking and I was like, I know that's not a person. And then I think I remember saying, I might have not said anything to you, but I
didn't know anything about this at all. This is news.
I just kept looking at it like a little, I was like, that's not a person. That's not a person. But it was so far away. It was like, we got closer and closer, and I was like, but in my mind, I was seeing a kid or a person like squatted down looking at me, and it was like really freaking me out in my head. I was like, what's this person doing out here on this trail just staring at me?
And then Andy started talking to him.
And then
I'm
Andy was like,
kidding.
Yeah, so
and he's like, you believe in aliens?
that really was. That was a kid out in the forest. I don't know what to tell you. That was real. His name is Frank.
What was your goal on the path?
From the north.
Was the ending point of that 15 miles where you were going to turn around?
I was going to turn around at the South Welcome Station.
Where is the South Welcome Station?
It's
at the south end of OBL.
Well, it goes into Tennessee, right?
I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, it's in Tennessee.
In Tennessee?
Yeah, yes.
I don't know if it stopped at the state line.
We made it. No.
It's quite a ways.
We made it to the Tennessee state line.
It's
pretty much.
Giving you shit.
I know.
And then it's probably 15.
But I really didn't.
If I would have
that answer.
If I would have got back up after that last section that we did, I was done. But if I would have got back up, it would have probably been 15 more miles to the South Welcome Station.
Yeah,
which is one leg. I've done like 3 or 4 legs.
Yeah,
just one more leg. Which looking back now, I couldn't have done it. But looking back, it's like a little regret. It's like, could you get out of that chair?
Yeah,
obviously I couldn't. But you still, in the back of your head, said,
do you know what you could do differently to nail it next time? Because I mean, when he told the story, it almost sounded like even before you and him started, like had the right person been there, they would have like told him you're done.
Well, I was in bad shape. When I knew I was in bad shape.
Tell about your knee. Whenever y'all were walking off, Jeff driving off.
Yeah, we were in that field right there by the where you like check in your deer, and we ate something, and everybody was we just sat around.
It was Andy, Jeff, and Austin,
and Taylor was there. Nathan, and so we were sitting there. Of course, I iced my knee. Whatever, got up. I ate a little something, changed socks, cleaned my feet, and I was tired. Nothing hurt. Nothing besides my knee hurt. And I don't know if I like twisted it on Jenny Ridge and just don't remember it. But that morning coming through Jenny Ridge was awful. And I must have tweaked it. Or I did. I don't know. But I felt the swelling because I was late for that check-in.
You were late. You were running behind schedule.
And that bothered me mentally because I was really trying to push it because I think that Jenny Ridge section on the map is a little off. like mileage wise, and that really screws with you too when you're watching the map and you're not getting where you want to be.
Yeah.
Say it's a mile off. Say it's a half a mile off. That's time, and you're like, I should be here, and you're not, and it starts messing with your mind, and then all of a sudden you feel a little, like I say, your body will like whisper to you, and if you don't listen to the whisper, eventually it'll start talking, and then if you don't, if you don't listen to the talk, it'll start yelling, and then you got a problem. You got to listen to it when it's whispering, and I felt something coming through Jenny Ridge that morning.
What does Tony say?
Yeah, don't go through Jenny Ridge alone. But so my knee started swelling, and it was like, I got a problem. I don't know what the problem is, and maybe I can rectify it by resting. It just kept swelling and kept swelling. And I was hydrated, I was eating, but by the time Andy got there, it was swelled so much that I couldn't bend it, remember?
Yeah, it was bad.
I mean, I was like almost like looping it.
I remember when we first took off, you were basically taking like baby steps.
Yeah.
Like there, I don't even know how to describe it. Like one foot in front of the other, no gap. Like the smallest stride you could possibly take to minimize the pressure you're putting on your knee. And I'd say it took half a mile before you started walking what I would call normal.
Right.
And here I am thinking, we're not even to the halfway point yet. How do I tell him that I think he's done?
Yeah.
And not break your spirit? Because I didn't want to break your spirit. This is you going through your thing. And like I said, I didn't know how to motivate you. And I was like, this is Chase's journey. I'm just here to try to push him a little bit,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're almost like, maybe I shouldn't be motivating him. I should be telling him the truth right now, too.
But he was in a bad position because after we got about 3 miles in, we lost phone reception.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't really know, because the apps didn't pick up, and we didn't really know where we were about 5 to 6 miles in.
Yeah, I'd say that the trail became not as obvious, like it wasn't a well-walked trail at that point until we hit the horse part. But like, yeah, it got, and I even remember at the very end, we were just going uphill all the time. And the people we were meeting were actually starting to walk down the trail to find us because we were behind schedule.
Yeah.
We couldn't talk to them. And every now and then we get a message from them like, oh yeah, we're just around the corner. And we get around the corner, they're not there. And it's just another uphill, muddy mess. And we're like, man, I'm beat. And I don't know what Chase is feeling because I'm tired.
God bless Andy, because at that point my mind was gone.
Yeah.
I was probably sobbing from pain a little bit, and I just kept my head down, and he'd say, well, they texted, they said it's just around the corner, and we get around that corner, and it wasn't.
It wasn't.
And I just I remember I just never looked up again.
I knew you were done, and I think you knew you were done, and I did not have to tell him that.
Yeah.
But you were talking about things that we could do to make it better. I know that I did not have enough electrolytes in me. Like, water is not enough for that long a hike.
No.
Like, I've started using electrolyte supplements in my water when I'm hiking, and it helps immensely. Like, water is not enough.
If he wasn't there, I ran out of water, remember?
You did. I'm a pack mule. That's the way I'm built, and I carried extra water for him.
There's no telling what would have happened.
Yeah, you carried your little, 2-liter bladder or something, and I had 2 3-liter bladders plus some bottles, because I did not think he had enough water, but it's my opinion. Maybe I just take more water than he does.
Yeah.
But he ended up drinking some of my water too.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know if what would have happened if Andy wouldn't have been there that last section, because my mind was gone. I was running out of water, no phone reception, and I could have just turned off and I wouldn't have known any different.
Chase that kid you saw. Yeah.
When
You could have gone been his papa.
it's like, what's this dude doing out here?
Call him half squat.
Yeah. Hiking, you can never carry, if you're carrying too much water, it's just extra weight. When you drink it, it's gone,
Yep.
So I always carry too much water with me.
Yeah. I'm so thankful Andy was there with me. And it was one of the most challenging hikes I've ever done at that. And he was there with me at the worst part and saw me at the worst. And
yeah,
he did a great hike himself. It
was when he told the story the other night, and that's probably what led to him texting you to come on. But
yeah,
it was a good story.
I still to this day feel like I let Chase down.
No.
Oh, wow.
Well,
No,
for him to tell the story, you got
definitely.
him through 15 miles.
There's no way. I would have made it without Andy, because I knew he was behind me. And I remember, he'd say, "You need to eat something." And at that point,
I did force you to eat multiple times and stop and drink.
Yeah.
We did that multiple times.
Because I did not want to eat anything at that point.
Your stomach was not, you didn't want to eat. And it was hard for you to eat something. That's something to look at for the future too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we chose the wrong food. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember him saying, "You have to eat something." I was like, I just can't.
I mean, you're burning 100 calories a mile, easy, 100, 150 calories every mile. So you burnt 1,500 calories in our little 15-mile stretch on the bare minimum, and you ate maybe, you replaced maybe 500 of them. That's not, for a long hike, you can do that for one leg.
Yeah.
But when you're continuing on, that's not the way to sustain yourself.
Like 24 hours, 20 hours, you're like,
you're 5,000 calories behind.
Your body is just like,
can't do that.
It's like burning shit just to stay alive. Probably burning muscle at that point. And I remember sitting down at the bottom of a hill. I just remember this, and I was hurting so bad. And Andy said, "You need to sit down for a while." And I remember saying, "I want to, but I know it's going to hurt worse when I get up."
Yeah, absolutely.
And we sat down for a while, and it took, like I said, every time I sat down, it'd take a little while to get whatever that motion was I had, just to make forward motion.
Yeah.
It was a crazy experience.
But, think about it now with what we've talking about all your joint pain. When you don't eat carbs, I know the keto diet, everyone does this keto diet, low carbs, and your body starts to burn body fat and stuff.
Ketosis.
Yes. Ketosis.
Which, when people do that diet, they do it to a healthy point. But you can do it past healthy and become unhealthy ketosis and dangerous. And I think joint pain is one of the signs of ketosis.
And I think that when I was training for it, I hit a point where I couldn't take in enough calories, and I kept losing weight.
Yeah.
When I was training, no matter what, because I was just going on the trail every day somewhere, and I was trying to eat a lot of proteins, and then at a point, my body weight just started dropping, and then I started trying to eat normal. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It just kept dropping, and finally, I just had to quit running for a while. And I don't know. I could maybe go out and do 30 miles, 40 miles, and my knee might swell up again. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe there's some kind of injury that
you don't know about. Yeah,
we'll just have to try it again and see what happens. It could do the same thing, or it could have been. I could have tweaked it going up a hill.
Yeah.
I'll hike with you again if you want to try it again.
Thank you.
I told you I was willing to.
Yeah. Me and Cole are going to do a hike this winter before it warms back up.
Hell yeah.
Do a cold weather hike if you're interested.
If the weather would have been all right today was the goal, but we had the rain check it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just part of it.
It is. Which, I told you that whole hike turned me on to the whole north-south trail in general. We've done completely the north.
Yeah.
We've done partly the south, and when you talk about the horse trails, you're definitely correct. It makes it tough.
It's a different ball game down there.
But and you're talking about it always being uphill. The grandparents saying it was uphill to school and
both
back.
Ways.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was. And until you trail run or hike or whatever, you don't realize it.
Yeah, and that's terrible on your mind when you're already in that position, and then you go up a hill and then you turn around. There's another one.
Yeah, that's the mental challenge. It beats you down. When you're just looking up, you know how much more energy you have to spend to go up.
And that's where Andy was like, he'd bring up a conversation, just to talk, and I just like put my head down, had my trekking sticks, and I just remember trying to answer him, but it was like, where are these damn hills coming?
Yeah, I don't know. We should be at 60,000 elevation by now. What is going on?
And then like you said at the end, it's like we're just around the corner. Nathan and Jeff and them is like around every corner. Not them.
That beat me down, and I was at a sixth of your journey.
That's why I say I think that trail that map was wrong.
I think that needs to be updated. I don't feel like that was right. I don't know how far we went, but
It was closer to 15 or 16 miles.
Did you use the app on your phone?
Well, we used All Trails and
Okay.
another one.
You know,
I can't look at my phone right now because it's
I think
recording.
the problem was like when we didn't get cell phone signal, our phones didn't
Oh, you need an Android?
correctly keep up with the.
Go ahead, say the words.
No,
Say
I've got the app on my iPhone that I love.
Say it for everyone to hear.
No, I don't need an Android. So, but I have an app on there that you actually buy the map. I believe. I think for LBO, it may be free. But anyway, it goes only off GPS.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have the map downloaded,
Right.
Yeah.
and we use it when my wife and me go on the north south now.
Right.
Pretty good. Really like it. We use it for horseback riding too. We actually ride on the south on horses as well.
So you tore up that trail for us.
Yes, I helped
Chase,
do that.
point fingers, this guy.
Yeah.
I'm not helping on
Well,
that.
that's part
But
of,
I mean, it's part of.
It's part of it. It's allowed,
enjoy
not
that's what makes it challenging.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
That was a challenge that I did not expect or foresee.
That's what you want. That's what.
That's why you do that, right? We do that to push us to these limits.
That's what you want. You want to push yourself to the limits. Like the owner and creator of Patagonia, and I think Vaughn Chenard. I listened to a couple of things that documentaries he's in, and he was talking about pushing yourself. He's a big mountain climber and rock climber when he was younger, but he said, Everest. Everybody thinks about Everest, and you can spend $100,000 and buy outfitter, and they'll pretty much push you all the way up to Everest.
What's that noise?
Oh, I love that.
And they'll push you all the way up Everest.
Yeah.
And there's one technical little thing, the Hillary step on Everest, and then you can come back down.
The Hillary stuff. What do you do? Kill yourself?
No, she kills you.
You got to beat up Hillary on the way up. But there's Wi-Fi all the way up Everest now. And he said, if you do something hard like that, he said, if it's not hard enough, if you're a jackass or an asshole at the beginning and you're an asshole at the end and you miss the damn point, that's what you do hard stuff for, to kind of change you, humble you.
Yeah.
If it was easy, then you'd be the same person at the end of it.
What is Goggins or Cam Haynes or Joe inner bitch?
Your inner bitch.
What about that?
What about that? Who's going to carry the boats?
Yeah.
That's it.
Who's going to carry the boats?
Man, I follow all those guys on Instagram, and
If you don't, David Goggins, Jocko Willink,
Cameron Hayes.
I mean,
Cameron Hayes is that
Haynes? Is that
Hayes?
Haynes.
You know him?
The bow hunter, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, that dude is.
Yeah.
He does a marathon like every day.
Yeah. Before he started, he used to run a lot, but I followed him just as a bow hunter. So,
Yeah.
Right.
And then he got into this more stuff, and now he's lifting weights. And they will motivate the crap, or
They will.
help you find your motivation.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Or your drive.
Another podcast I pushed out this week to Chase. I know was it's the Real AF podcast. My God, that dude spits some truth.
Yeah, I never heard of it, and Monty sent it to me. I turned it on while I was doing some stuff around the house. I was like, told Monty, I was like, this dude is going wild.
Yeah,
I don't know this one. I'm going to have to look this one up.
Yeah, I can't think of the guy's name just offhand, but I mean, 3 million?
Huh.
3 million listens to his podcast, I think. So, like from the time before. So,
Yeah, I recommend listening to episode 109.
yeah. It was good.
Okay.
Really good. I think he's out of St. Louis from what I heard. But
Hey, to the hike.
oh yeah,
To the next one.
You bet.
Yeah.
May all your babies be born
Hey,
naked.
to a good podcast.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. We're going to try
We should
to do
bring
it again.
more of this Bison Trace on. Buffalo Trace.
Maybe you need to drive up there, Andy, and tell them they're screwing up.
Nope. I'll leave him alone.
For somebody that's been you grew up in Michigan and moved to Western Kentucky, which was a pretty big culture shock, and then you went into the Navy. or Submariner.
Mariner. Yep.
Submariner. And then you're doing a lot of hikes yourself, and you're a successful man. I mean, do you have any life chaser experience from the Navy or anything that you can give the listeners? Like, I mean, hard times.
How do you find that enjoyment?
I don't know. I think this is a tough one. Put me on the spot.
I told
there
you
you go.
it was
You're going to do it.
To be fair,
This happens to me every time, so I get it.
We all walk different paths of life to bring us to where we are today. All of us sitting here, we all came differently, and do what's for you. But you need to push yourself. Goggins and all them, they're super hardcore. They push themselves every minute of every day, which I don't bring myself to that point yet. I'd love to be there, but like going out on hikes on your own out there, it really puts things in perspective and allows you to think and personal reference and things like that. Growth. You need to grow as a person. Sitting still every day, being lazy brings you downhill. You need to feed your brain, feed your body, push yourself to know that tomorrow, if things do get tough, you can go through it. I think
mental callous.
Yeah, it's tough, but it helps you in every. It's not just being physically in shape. It helps you in every fact of life. When work gets hard for you, when home life gets hard for you, you know that I've been through worse. I can push through this. That's an important part in life, and it's a little different for everybody. I like to hike and outdoors, I guess. Maybe someone likes to do something else. People like to
all
run.
of us.
Yeah.
We're all kind of that outdoors.
But some people might like going to the gym.
Yeah, going to the gym, lifting weights. Whatever's your thing to help toughen you up, that helps you push a little bit further and to be better than you were yesterday is what you need in life. I think it can change everything for you.
Absolutely.
And not every day is great. Tomorrow can be a bad day for me. Next day, a great day. That's life. Life is not
It's
nice.
not supposed to be easy.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be easy. It's not nice. You need to push through it.
I always say that the bad times, if you didn't have bad times, the good times wouldn't mean
absolutely
jack.
And that goes back to Navy. Like at my little reunion, we talked about, like, I kind of apologized to everybody. I was like, I was an angry, mean person back then. I'm sorry if I was that way to you. Like, I didn't know it at the time, but it was, and I've moved past that. And,
yeah, I get that. That's what I told Cole one night. I said, I remember the person I was at 30, and I wasn't a great person.
Yeah.
And when somebody disappoints me, I always look back and try to give a little grace or mercy. Like, well, maybe they are me at 30.
Maybe they're having a bad day. You don't know what they woke up dealing with that day.
You don't know.
Everybody has struggles.
Yeah, I still have bad days, but yeah, I used to be a lot more of an asshole.
Really?
I'm glad I didn't know you then.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I do think so. More so than these days.
Absolutely.
You look back at your life and you're like, man, maybe I could have calmed it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I got to keep a lid on myself most of the time.
Yeah.
Dude, I woke up this awesome.
I can believe that about Cole. Cole's
Cole
good every day.
We don't bring Cole in this stuff because he's perfect.
No.
That dude is good.
I was a very scared, anxious little boy, and I'm still anxious, but I'm not as scared as I was. And my lessons came differently.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
You got to go through your canyons for sure.
Well, this has been a good one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! Thanks for coming, Andy.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
We'll bring you on again because we got some more shit to talk for sure.
Yeah, I like to have him on.
I want to give a shout out to somebody though, Tony Logue.
Yeah, his release of his new album.
Yeah, and it is blowing up right now.
Name of it's Jericho. Released at midnight last night? Is that correct?
Yeah,
or the night before?
Yeah, and it is.
It was out yesterday, so maybe midnight. But yeah.
I think something like that.
Sorry, Fresh. Tony. I haven't listened to it yet. I got to do it.
We hit him with it on the way here, though.
You hit me with a little bit of it. I'm going to.
Is there any way we can patch in?
Well, like 20-something thousand people have already listened to it on Spotify.
Oh, you need an aux cord and an Android?
Oh,
I don't have an aux cord, but you need an Android?
I'm gonna smash that phone before.
Yeah, no doubt. He just keeps pushing.
You're gonna go to reach for it, and I'm gonna fold it down. You're gonna miss it.
Again, thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
We're gonna close out the show with Tony Logue song "Life's Blood" off his new album called Jericho. If everybody could go to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your music and hook up and download Tony's song, and we're gonna play it out with "Life Blood."
If I died, what the hell? If it wouldn't be for drinking whiskey or chasing wild women, it'd be for what I did to the people on the land between the lakes.
I heard tires cutting red rock. Truck said TVA. I saw Daddy take the papers. Told him we couldn't stay. Mama stood there steady. Said, Daddy, when we gonna leave? He just shook his head, slammed the door. Said, we won't bargain with thieves. We ain't gonna back down. We ain't gonna back down. Wanna fight, boys, stick around. We ain't gonna back down. We got word this morning how they fooled Miss Bay. They hauled her down to Grand Rivers. They set her whole house ablaze. They left a pile of rubble with all she owns inside. Daddy said, rest easy. He'll be on watch tonight. We ain't gonna back down. We ain't gonna back down. You wanna fight, boys, stick around. We ain't gonna back down. We ain't gonna back down. We ain't gonna back down. Stake our life's blood on this ground. We ain't gonna back down. It's all in the name of progress. That's what the agents say. Or they handing out letters, all signed by JFK. Turns out his bootlegging daddy, he couldn't make a sale. Now Junior's gonna put the cat back on the moonshine well. We ain't gonna back down. We ain't gonna back down. You wanna fight, boys, stick around. We ain't gonna back down. We ain't gonna back down. We ain't gonna back down. Stake our life's blood on this ground. We ain't gonna back down.
Yeah, thank y'all for listening. We'll see you next time. Look up Tony Logue, Life Chaser out.